JF, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
How's it going, man?
I'm doing super good. Very excited.
Yeah, I mean, and I said this on the show last night. I said it tonight. I mean, I think you're gonna be. I even said it to you on Twitter. I think you blocked me, but that's fine. I don't really offer that much on Twitter. So, but yeah, I think you're gonna be doing just fine on your own. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And one day I will unblock you. I'm just.
Okay.
I just wanted to isolate myself from a certain part of the community while I was working. I worked a lot to set up a new format, and I will unblock you at some point. It's just I need time with myself.
It's all good, and I'll admit I did send kind of one troll tweet at you when it first happened, which was I mean, it was kind of a dick thing. But the next tweet that I sent said, I think you're gonna be fine. Like I think it's actually you'll be happier, having full creative control over your own product, being able to do, exactly the things you want to do. So
absolutely, we did it once tonight, and it was an amazing feeling.
So what would your thoughts be on Emily? I liked her on there. I thought she did seem a little nervous. Of course
she was genuinely nervous because she's not self-aware of how much people love her. She was really shocked when I told her the amount of love we've received for this girl for more than a month. I mean, there were people super chatting me at Warski Live saying, "Get Emily Yukis on." The warmth that I felt in my community for her is I've never seen that before. And so I didn't know who she was at all tonight, but I now understand why people love her. She understands memes at the level of a noticed guy.
Yeah, I mean, Emily, I've known her. I won't say like I've been close with her or anything because that's not true. But I think I knew of her when I first found out about her was maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. Some of the like animation and stuff that she was doing, and she was
the Alfred stuff.
Yeah, and she was just really hilarious on Twitter. And I think she talked about this on your show a little bit. The part that I was there, she's definitely somebody who pushes the boundaries of free speech. And she talked about, saying pretty much whatever she wants, saying the N-word, saying, kike, saying all this stuff. And then, of course, on Twitter, you used to be able to do that. You used to could say pretty much if it wasn't like a direct threat of violence or, criminal activity, you could pretty much say whatever you wanted to say on Twitter. It's not like that now, and she eventually got banned. But yeah, I do have a lot of respect for her.
I think one tweet I've had flagged before, I think the only word that I could construe as being negative would be dumb. Maybe that's like something to do with being, I don't know, less, mentally efficient, I don't know, mentally able, I don't know, maybe I'm being ableist or something by calling someone dumb, but yeah, that's
Are you saying she's dumb?
No, he's saying he got flagged.
Offensive.
I think it was like when I got a lot of my tweets flagged at once, but one of them was like me saying like, "Oh, that's ridiculously dumb" or something like that. And so,
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff now that they flagged that would have never happened. Even when I first started using Twitter heavily in 2014, you could pretty much, like I said, say what you want, and now it's not the case. So
it's very important to stand up for voices like Emily Yukis, who are always pushing the envelope, because we've seen now that when people stop standing alongside people that are pushing that envelope and saying whatever they want to, that it's not just, what's considered quote-unquote offensive speech. It's literally just typical things you would say every day, like "that's stupid" or I hate you" and stuff like that. Now that's getting flagged.
Yeah, so what would your, I guess, just thoughts on that, free speech in general, and some of the stuff she said on free speech, JF, what would your thoughts on that be?
I mean, I don't know if she took a position on my show. I think she just let me explain most of my position. I mean, I'm more and more against free speech. I think that we should restrict many forms of speech. Not political, not opinions, but statements of facts are hurtful on the public space, and they are hurtful in court too, and we need to do something about it. We need to restrict free speech. I don't think I had time to have her lay out her beliefs, but I think that's where I am right now.
And I saw the debate, or part of the debate that you had about that, And of course, I come at it from more of a free speech absolutist type point of view.
Yeah, same.
But I mean, I respected the points that you raised. Also, I'll say this, and this is not necessarily about free speech. Of course, your point was, I guess before I bring that up, your point was satire that makes claims of facts. So satire that talks about, claims of criminality. So you make a satirical video about somebody or a satirical article where you say this dude's beating his wife or he's raping people. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Yeah. That should be banned. Basically, that was your point, right?
I said that this would be the edge of the extent of my law. So I did say that most satire wouldn't get banned.
Right.
But that if a jury was to listen to the satire and say, oh no, I conclude that this was, yes, satire because there were jokes in there, but there were also statements of fact, then I said, yes, my law may extend to some extreme case of satire that are meant to communicate false IDs.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I come at it more, almost anything goes, but I do think that's a viable point to bring up. One thing I did want to ask you, this is not really about the Andy thing or anything like that, but I was on the stream with Dankula, and Dankula, was throwing the bands at you, throwing some, pretty mean stuff at you, let's face it, some really stuff, and not just about you, but about, people you were involved with and stuff like that.
Yep.
I think, again, I come at it from, if you're on the internet, you should just have to take it. Pretty much, you're here. That's just the way it goes. You're in the arena. You should just have to take what anybody throws at you. But I did think you kind of put a thoughtful point out there. You talked about the girl he was making jokes about and how she listens to all this stuff. She's I don't know if you'd say active member of the community, but definitely following, what's going on YouTube. And so this person
if you want an illustration of who my ex-fiancée is, look at Emily Yukis. She's exactly like this. She's as beautiful, as intelligent, and that's the closest woman I've ever seen to my ex-fiancée. I met her tonight, Emily Yukis.
Can I ask a question, Jeff?
Wait, hold on. Wait, I want to. No, it's all good. I wanted to say, usually, I'm this person, and I guess I still am, but I just thought you brought up a good point to where, take the bans, but at a certain point, should you think about, the harm you're causing with some of the things you're saying? And I actually thought that was a pretty thoughtful point. And
we said that on his side he didn't care at all. He started laughing.
He didn't care. No,
I don't care if it hurts people. And then I said, well, then your place may be in jail.
Yeah.
And people keep telling me that I didn't do humor on this stream. I mean, I contributed to a lot of content on this stream. I decided to negate any bans back at him once I saw that he did not want to apologize. But the Count Dankula interview was an original one. I created content, I created jokes, and I can't believe that people represent this as me refusing to engage at all with Count Dankula. I've been doing a good hour of bans.
Look, and we were kind of, I don't know if you call it a dispute, but, just a little tension there, obviously. But wait,
I think a lot of times with... Oh.
No, I just want to say, that line that you gave actually caused me to bust out laughing, where you just said, "Well, you're a sociopath and you belong behind bars." Then, if you're not willing to see what you're, some type of self-reflection on that. Yeah. So that I actually thought that was funny. Although I think you were serious about that too, though, right?
Well, I mean, all of the Count Dankula thing is a half-serious thing. It's an intellectual exploration of what happens if you believe in free speech, because I'm a free speech absolutist to start with. 1 year ago, I was a free speech absolutist, just like you. What happens if you allow your brain to use discretionary application of all of your liberties, including the liberty to even laugh at someone going to jail? And that's what I wanted to do. And I think I did it. And I think, of the countless Count Dankula interviews of this month, I think mine stands out as intellectually original.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. I'll say this. I'll let some of the others get in. I don't want to monopolize the whole thing, even though it is.
I just want to ask, like, when it comes to this statement of fact that you have an issue with, Jeff, is that usually when it comes to like being libel or slander against an individual? Is that usually where it lies?
Yeah, slandering, misrepresentation of statements of others, which I consider is a violation of free speech. So if I say something in the name of Ralph retard, I need to be careful, because if I put words in his mouth, then I'm violating his right to speak or not to speak.
I think from a point of view, like, I know sometimes I don't think I put words in people's mouths. I think I paraphrase people sometimes, but I think that's the key thing that is good about blood sports is having this conflict and conversation instead of having these people who are constantly doing, I'll do a stream and not talk to you, I'll do a stream and not talk to you, and you never have this actual conversation. You get this constant Chinese whispers, if that's not racist to say now. But yeah, you get this constant Chinese whispers back and forth of just like you're hearing paraphrases after paraphrases after paraphrases. That's the reason why I'll usually actually watch, and you'll hear the person say it for what they say and stuff like that. So yeah.
Absolutely, that's why blood sports is good. That's why we've done 10 years of YouTube wrong. We've done 10 years of YouTube with back and forth videos where the statements of the opponent are slightly misrepresented, but just enough to strawman enough so that the person can look good in front of his opponent. You can't do that in blood sport, you'll get called out.
Okay, Zidane wanted to ask you about. I just kind of wanted to get into those points. He wanted to ask you more about the stuff that's went on the last day.
Yeah. So yesterday, you and Andy were on Worski Live, and you left it halfway through. I just wanted to know why you left or quit Worski Live before Andy got to finish what he was saying. You had an entire stream, about an hour and a half, about what he did wrong, where you said he slandered Cantwell.
Yeah.
So why did you leave abruptly before he could finish what he was trying to say to you?
There were many reasons. I've been annoyed with these reasons I've explained on my stream. I think I've listed pretty much all, but just to give you the context of my mind as I entered the show. So Andy has cancelled my guest, Ben from the Drunken Peasant, with whom I have a relationship that dates back to almost the moment of invention of Google Hangout. I mean, these guys were the first big streamers.
I've seen you on the show. I mean, when I looked you up, I was looking into your history or whatever. Yeah, I'd seen you'd made a lot of appearances on the show. Yeah,
cancellations happen and things change.
Yeah,
so
let him go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so cancellation happens, and there are times where I stood behind the Andy cancellation when there's a big event and we can get 5,000, 6,000 viewers. Let's go. Let's cancel and let's talk about the news. However, in this case, this was another case of emotional cancellation. It was another case of Andy being very pissed off. And I'm not here, by the way, to talk negative of Andy.
Sure.
It's just, that's how I felt when I entered the stream.
Right.
So I entered the stream and I'm like, okay, he's dishonoring my name in front of a guest who I have the highest respect for, who I have a long-term relationship with. It's a sign of trust for Ben to come. And he's dishonoring my name. And then I also knew that from an entertainment standpoint, this would suck. It would suck to get Andy to try to call me out on defamation. No offense to Andy, he doesn't have the intellectual capacity yet to really quote words and say, look, here's where you are logically wrong. It's not Andy's personality. And so I knew this would crash, and especially after you've done an apology. After you've done an apology, you've done the hard part. You walked over your ego. So anything that you say after this will be interpreted by a part of the audience as walking back or stepping back over something or trying to explain. No, be a man and apologize and move on. So I knew that from an entertainment standpoint, that would crash that night. And we saw it very early in the stream. The dislike ratio was higher than 50%.
Now let me ask you this. So what changed? Did you think everything was settled when he came on your stream the night before and all was good? When you got done with that, did you think that? I guess just did you sense this coming? I guess would be.
Yeah, it's funny because I see lots of comments today and yesterday saying, "Wow, JF planned this from the moment he did the video called Warski Slendered Cantwell." No, I did not plan this at all. To me, that was just usual stuff. It was like I did 2 other videos criticizing Andy, and at every time I did that Andy was very emotionally shocked by these. That there were always a moment of time where I had to let him react, and he had to kind of recover from my style. But I do say in that video, someone pointed out in that video, I do say, maybe one of these days I'm gonna make one of these critique video against Andy, and it's gonna be my last day of employment.
You did say that.
Risky
Yeah.
Life.
I actually saw that. Yeah. I mean, that was the first
my brain knew the possibility, but in my heart I didn't feel that it was the possibility. I felt like at the end of the stream, Andy had apologized and we had done everything right, and I felt that I had reconnected the part of the audience that was pissed at Andy for the slandering, or if you want to call it the allegation of slandering, and at me for not speaking out, because people were like, "Jeff, go watch the fucking community." For 2 days people were telling me that.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Had as well. A problem that Andy definitely had, which I've spoken to him about today as well, was that he was constantly trying to like, you'd have you back and forth and stuff like that, but he was, when it came to you like picking for people to come on his show, I think what he was it was getting to him that obviously you're taking control, but simultaneously I think he was like, "Oh yeah, it's okay, it means I can just chill and relax and stuff," and he was saying that to you simultaneously, and I think he was constantly trying to do that to almost kind of like, he was harboring criticism towards you, but he wasn't just being honest about that. And I think there was a moment where he was just like, "Nah, fuck that shit. I'm just going to be open and honest about this," and stuff like that. And I do think there was more of a moment of that where Andy like, but for a while he's more just been harboring the criticism towards you, whilst just, you know, kind of putting up a front to try and keep it all good between you, like from a business point of view, like when you're working with someone who you can't stand, well, not can't stand, but do you know what I mean? That sort of thing where you're putting a face for the job, sort of thing. And I think that's what's happened, unfortunately, and that's the reason why there's been almost like an underlying hostility almost between, not saying that you two are all like, you know, having this fight. Do you know what I mean? That led to this almost split that's happened, which and I think I saw it in your face as well when he because when he turns around and he starts to go, "Look, I'm pissed off with this, that, and the other." There's a point where you look down and I can see it in your face where you're just like, "This isn't going to work," and that's why that's why it was so quick, because you do turn around and you're just like, "Right, this isn't going to work. Well, that's going to be the end of it then," and that's it, and then it just ended there.
Yeah, I do see in the future a lot. That's a very good analysis. Everything you've just said, very accurate. And as far as my face at that moment, it's because I see in the future a lot. I see 6 moves in advance. And at that point, when you see my face go down, I realize that Andy has deceived himself, at least in my view. He has deceived himself. He would probably tell you he thinks he's right, but he has deceived himself into thinking I stated something about failure in Tonka, which I didn't state.
Like, that's the thing, is that from a point of view, you could see it as his own personal step. But like I told him about it today, that was my criticism, is because when I've seen you can see this on Kronos's clips. These are on Kronos 2's channel. There's a couple of clips that you can watch. It's if you watch, you'll see this yourself, literally in context. It's something that will stick out to you, at least if you're someone like me. And if you watch Kronos' his first clip, it's the part 1 of when you criticize him, and it's just at the end of that first clip. And then the second clip is just after you leave and stuff like that. And he starts like, but he does say, "I'm not going to be a little bitch anymore. I'm not going to be like this," because that's how Andy does feel like he's been. I think he is self-critical of how he's been, because he realizes that he's basically just been putting on a front to you by going, "Oh yeah, cool, dude. I'll just relax. You can pick some people for the show and stuff." But inside, he's actually thinking, "Fuck, I'm not even in control of my show anymore." Do you know, simultaneously, but he's not actually being open and honest about that. And then obviously, I think that's come out. So
yeah. On that point, personally, I've never seen my guest as the center of the show. I've seen my guest as the floor of the show. What I was doing with Andy is, look, even if one day you're too busy or you're too worried or something keeps you from doing good shows, I will always be there. I will always have a lineup to back you up. The problem is that this became the center of the show out of, in my view, Andy's laziness. And so that's the same problem that I said 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago when I did the Twisted Mind of Andy Warski video. It's that I never wanted to take all this space. The right approach for Andy, if we were to go back from the very beginning of our relationship, the right approach that Andy could have had, which he didn't have, is look at JF as a teacher for a moment in your life. Look at JF as a help who will carry you forward because you are stagnant. So just use him for 4 months, 5 months, and then just fire him in DMs. The problem with Andy is that he's been jungling with the idea of firing me in public and thus counter-signaling the base audience that I gathered for him. The base audience that has made all of the increases of his audience for the last few months, and the super chats, because the kind of show that we do gathers more super chat than a mundane Matt Hollywood review.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, I think that's unquestionable. Let me ask you this. First off, I'm not. You were kind enough to come on the show, which by the way, I want to commend you on for coming on here. I do appreciate that. Chat it has brought up and they failures in the chat. So I wanted to ask you if you were okay with talking to him, if that was something you wanted to do. If not, that's fine too. I wasn't.
Absolutely.
You are? Okay. I didn't want to just bring him on and like ambush you or anything like that.
I'll jump out as well, so you'll have more room because I've got to get off. I've got stuff to do.
Okay, thank you, Cog. I appreciate you coming on. I guess one of my points about your about the stream, and you talked about it earlier, where I think that was actually me on my show that you quoted, where we were going through. I mean, we were talking about the legal definition of defamation and how what Andy did would not really meet that criteria. As far as Cantwell goes, especially given Cantwell's, notorious public persona. Like for me too, like I have a pretty notorious public persona too, so it'd be almost impossible for me to prove defamation against somebody. Now you said,
I heard you do that point, and I responded to that tonight.
Yeah, and you said that basically you didn't mean you weren't talking about defamation in the legal sense, but I guess to me, just using the term defamation, I mean it means it is in the dictionary, it's its own word, but when you use that, it kind of has legal connotations. Do you think, looking back, maybe you could have used misrepresented or even lied about, or maybe a different term other than defamation, or maybe soften the blow a little bit by having a different title of the stream?
I could have. When you tell me that, I realize I could have, but then if I want to attribute error to myself, I go back to the dictionary definition, and it fits. I do the same thing with race. A lot of people are like, you use a weird definition of race. Well, I use the definition of race that pops out as the first result on Google. And that's a special feature of my life. I'm a Frenchman. All of the words in English, I'm not always sure what they mean. And so I often check, especially if there's a theme to my video. If I do a video about race, I will always check, what is race in an English dictionary?
Right. Okay, I appreciate you. Saying that, because I guess that was just one of my points. Like it just sounded like the actual title of it was very harsh, and I sit there and watched pretty much the whole stream, and it wasn't quite as ruthless as the title. You know what I mean? I mean, you still took him to the woodshed, but it was, I guess, just when I saw the title, I said, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah, the title was brutal.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh wow," you know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway. Go ahead, Zidane.
I've probably been influenced a lot by the fan base, because before I got to the stream, I was doing the stream to respond to many fans saying Andy slandered Cantwell, so maybe I got infected by their wording.
Okay, go ahead, Zidane, and give your points, and then we're going to bring Failure in, because
okay. So my first point is Failure's in the green room, and the second thing is, when you were explaining my question, you said you had respect for your guests, and you were mad that he canceled on guests because of the respect thing, but that goes both ways. The video that you made on Andy, isn't that a respect thing too? Like you didn't, if you respect him, you wouldn't have made a video with like that and portrayed him in such a bad light. As we just said, the title is brutal by itself. You don't even have to look at the video. If you just go through your video list, that title right by itself, Worski slanders Cantwell. I mean, that's it. You don't even need to look at the video.
I mean, it's a form of respect to me, and I can understand that for people it is not, but that's the culture I come from. That's what we do in university when we do a doctorate.
Sure.
We almost bully people into becoming perfect. And so I know it hurts. That's how I trained people to do brain surgery. People were just shaking because they were afraid that I would yell at them. And being rough like this, when you are a YouTube star at the top of a branch of YouTube, I expect that you can take it.
Well, the academic give and take and the peer review process is, yeah.
It's brutal, yeah. But
it's very brutal.
It's very different when you go from your co-host, the guy you work with, and then you say you slandered him. You know,
I wasn't at JF's level, but yeah, I have a little experience, and it can get.
I just wanted to ask that because it just seemed weird to me that you would say respect.
I guess one more point before we drag failure in. I guess just for the record, I'm not sure. I watched a lot of your content the last day or two, but I'm not sure if you stated this. Did you give Andy a heads up on the stream? And looking back, do you think that might have helped soften the blow, or maybe made things go down easier had you gave him that heads up?
I mean, when you ask me these questions, I realize everything could have gone differently from a emotional perspective. No, I did not give a heads up. Yes, I could have, but do I regret? No. I mean, the clash had to happen, and so if it had to happen,
better to just do it now.
Let's make it happen faster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's lots of women, for example, who have left me in my life who I didn't have any hate for them, but I would say, okay, fuck off, bitch. Just because I don't want to spend 2 weeks of her coming back and leaving and coming back and maybe we can stay together. No. If I feel that you're not in it anymore, fuck off.
Well, if it's over, it's over, and you might as well move on. I do understand that point. Okay,
I'm gonna drag failure in.
Drag failure in. And we'll
welcome failure. That. What's up, buddy?
You're on the air on the kill stream. Failure. What's up, man? We'll see if we can get him. He's in the room.
Yeah, give him a second. He might just kind of AFK while we were talking.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe he can't hear.
Yeah, he might have to join and then join back. We'll see.
Yeah,
he's. We'll try to get that together. I guess while we film that, Tom, who all else are you planning to have on as your, I don't know if you call it a co-host audition or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
The plan today was to have about 3 or 4 co-hosts. There's Luke Ford who's interested, Nick Fuentes, and there was Emily Yukis. However, I have to say, after the performance of Emily Yukis, I have heavy doubt that anyone can outdo her. So
she's the clubhouse leader, to use a golf term.
She is the top of the top. I didn't know that such a human being existed. She is absolutely perfect. And so I'm going to have the others because I think it could be possible to have rotating co-hosts, to have her 2 days a week, to have someone